Assassin's Creed, the story so far. Everything you need to know about the series up until this point. Spoiler alert. The first civilization, also known as those who came before, the precursors, or Homo sapiens divinius, were an ancient and advanced species of humanoid beings that were among the first known to call Earth their home. Although native to Earth and a product of thousands of years of evolution, the exact origins of the first civilization are unclear. Minerva simply stated that they came before and were responsible for the creation of Homo sapiens, forming the species in their own image to be a capable but docile workforce. The precursors also created Homo neanderthalenses, designing the species to be their expeditionary or military force. While Minerva noted that they built humanity to survive, it was made known by Juno that they were not intended to be wise, thereby ensuring obedient and resilient cattle to suit their needs. In order to assure the control of humanity, various technologies were created by the ancient but advanced race named Pieces of Eden by humankind. These pieces tapped into a network of neurotransmitters located deep within the human brain, ensuring total obedience through remote mind control. However, there were some humans born without the neurotransmitters, hypothesized to be hybrids of the first civilization and humans, consequently making them immune to the Pieces' control. Instigated by the theft of an apple of Eden by Adam and Eve, the human rebellion soon erupted into full-scale war with the first civilization. While the first civilization was more technologically advanced and powerful, humanity had the advantage of numbers, most likely outnumbering their creators by the millions, far too much for the Pieces of Eden to effectively handle. The war eventually ended, although the casualties were greater than the first civilization could have ever anticipated. The distraction of war had blinded them to all else, and their preoccupation with the conflict prevented them from seeing the signs of an impending danger from the heavens. A select few, not partaking in the war, were aware of the imminent catastrophe and endeavored to prevent it, thinking up various possible ways to protect the Earth. The Capitoline Triad, consisting of Minerva, Juno, and Jupiter, would select the most promising solutions, following which they tested them in underground temples, also called vaults. All offered solutions failed, however, with none providing adequate protection against the massive solar flare that was to come. During this time, Juno was discovered to have her own plans for the world. Rather than save it, she planned to rule over the remnants of the world after the catastrophe, and was subsequently imprisoned by Minerva and Jupiter. With their time having grown short, Minerva managed to construct a pedestal, simply called the Eye, which allowed one to alter the patterns and equations of existence and protect the Earth by placing hidden messages for the future humans throughout time, in hopes they would find these messages and save the world from the second disaster. However, before she could use the device, she discovered that Juno had tampered with it so that it would set her free from her imprisonment upon activation. Refusing to release Juno from her prison, Minerva destroyed the device, thus condemning the world to face the solar flare, which flipped the Earth's weakening magnetic field, reversing the polarity and making the planet geologically unstable. While both races survived the catastrophe, few of either species remained. Working together, they rebuilt their world, though humanity continued to view their counterparts as gods. Despite their survival, the first civilization was unable to fully recover their numbers, and began an inevitable decline toward extinction. They knew, however, that the catastrophe which had burned their world before would eventually reoccur, and so they took steps to prevent it. Utilizing a second eye she had built, Minerva recorded a number of holographic, yet interactive, messages to serve as a warning to those who entered the vault under what would become the city of Rome. In it, Minerva warned of the impending doom and spoke of the temples that could save the Earth from destruction, built by those who knew to turn away from war. Concurrently, several other members of the first civilization took independent steps to influence the thriving human race, attempting to put their knowledge to stone or parchment, though these did not withstand the test of time. Barely 100 years after the creation of the temples, the first civilization was almost completely extinct. The Assassins and the Templars have been at war with one another for thousands of years. The conflict has been going on since the time of Cain and Abel, to the Roman Empire, to the Third Crusade, the Renaissance, the Golden Age of piracy, the French and Indian War, the American, French, and Industrial Revolutions, and has continued into the modern day. The reason for the conflict is purely that of philosophy. Both the Assassins and the Templars' main goal is that of peace. However, they both have very different ways of achieving that goal. The Assassins believe that mankind should be free to make their own choices and follow their own path, while the Templars believe that mankind cannot be trusted and the only way to achieve peace is through control using the pieces of Eden. Desmond Miles was raised to be an assassin, but at a young age chose to leave his heritage behind and became a bartender in New York. Eventually, Desmond was abducted by a company called Abstergo Industries and thrown into the Animus, a device which allows a person to relive the memories of their ancestors. Abstergo is apparently the modern-day face of the tyrannical Knights Templar, and the reason for Desmond's abduction was so that the Templars could find locations of various pieces of Eden that his assassin ancestors came in contact with. Using the Animus, the Templars forced Desmond to relive the memories of his assassin ancestor, Altair ibn La'ahad, during the time of the Third Crusade. Desmond follows Altair's story, which is one of both redemption and tragedy. Desmond catches up with Altair, who is on a mission from his master, Al-Mu'alim, to retrieve a piece of Eden from Solomon's tomb. However, Altair's own pride and ambition results in him breaking all the tenets of the Assassin Order and fails his mission. Deemed as a traitor before the entire Assassin Brotherhood, Altair is sent on a mission of redemption to win his way back into the Assassin Order. Altair is tasked with killing 9 corrupt men throughout the Holy Land, whom Altair slowly realizes are all members of the Knights Templar. Succeeding in killing his 9th and final target, who is also the leader of the Templar Order, Robert the Sab, Altair finds out that there are not 9 Templars seeking control of the Holy Land, but 10. The 10th, as it turns out, is Al-Mu'alim himself. Altair returns to Masyaf to find his fellow assassins have fallen under the control of the piece of Eden Al-Mu'alim possesses. Confronting and eventually killing his former master, Altair retrieves the piece of Eden and is shown a map to the locations of various pieces of Eden scattered around the world. This is the memory Abstergo is looking for. Following the death of his master, Altair becomes the new leader of the assassins and eventually starts a family while expanding the reach of the order. Returning to Masyaf after a long absence, Altair discovers his rival, Abbas, has seized control of the Order and attempts to steal Altair's piece of Eden. Crushed by his losses, Altair escapes Masyaf and goes into exile. While in exile, Altair finds several First Civilization artifacts referred to as keys. He took 6 of these keys and imprinted his most significant memories on them. Altair eventually returns to Masyaf, determined to get control of the Order back. Altair kills Abbas, reclaims his position of mentor, and builds a personal library beneath the Masyaf fortress. 5 of the keys to the library are sent away with the Polos, and Altair seals himself inside the library along with the final key as well as his piece of Eden. Now that Abstergo has what they were looking for, they decide Desmond is of no more use to them. However, Lucy Stillman, an undercover assassin posing as an Abstergo scientist, intervenes and saves Desmond's life. Desmond, through the bleeding effect, uses Altair's eagle vision and finds various messages written in blood all over the wall from Abstergo's previous captive, Subject 16, foretelling the end of the world in 2012. Lucy breaks Desmond out of Abstergo and link up with 2 other assassins, Sean and Rebecca, who have their own version of the Animus. Lucy explains that now that Abstergo has what they need, it's only a matter of time before they control the world. Through the bleeding effect, Lucy hopes that by reliving the life of another of Desmond's assassin ancestors, will give Desmond the skills they need to combat Abstergo. Desmond agrees and re-enters the Animus to relive the life of Ezio Auditore, Desmond's ancestor from 15th century Renaissance Italy. Ezio grew up amidst a life of luxury among the members of the noble class, and was often known for getting in trouble both with his fists and pretty girls' fathers. However, all of this changed when Ezio's father and brothers were falsely accused of a crime and publicly executed. Ezio, now on a quest for revenge, hunts down and kills everyone responsible for his family's death. With the help of Ezio's uncle Mario, Leonardo da Vinci, and Niccolo Machiavelli, Ezio discovers the men responsible for his family's death are all connected to one man, Rodrigo Borgia, the leader of the Templar Order. On his quest for revenge, Ezio acquires another piece of Eden that Rodrigo is desperate to obtain. Rodrigo, in his quest for power, is elected Pope Alexander VI, so he can lead his Templars to a fabled vault hidden beneath the Vatican. Ezio, wanting to put an end to his family's murderer, travels to Rome to face Rodrigo, who now possesses another piece of Eden referred to as the Staff. Ezio confronts Rodrigo, who is defeated after a fistfight. Ezio then combines the Staff of Eden with his own apple, which grants Ezio access to the vault. Inside, Ezio finds the holographic message that Minerva had left, informing of the disaster that befell her people, and also warning of the second disaster that is coming in 2012. Desmond, now aware of what is coming, searches for a way to stop the incoming apocalypse. Desmond continues to search through Ezio's memories in order to locate Ezio's piece of Eden. Following Ezio's confrontation with the Pope, Ezio returns to his villa, only for it to come under attack by Cesare Borgia, the son of Rodrigo. Cesare's siege takes the life of Ezio's uncle, and brings the piece of Eden back under Templar control. With the Brotherhood utterly destroyed, Ezio decides to take his fight against the Templars to the heart of power and corruption, Rome. Ezio eventually rebuilds the Assassin Order, and takes over as the new head of the Assassins. Ezio leads his new Brotherhood to victory over Cesare, who is ultimately arrested when he tries to take Rome by force. Ezio reacquires his piece of Eden and hides it under the Roman Colosseum. Desmond and his allies go to the Colosseum to acquire Ezio's piece of Eden. However, as Desmond took the Apple of Eden from its pedestal, Juno's voice was heard, saying that Desmond's DNA had activated the apple. Juno then took control of Desmond's body through the apple and forced him to kill Lucy, who it turns out was a Templar double agent. Due to the intense mental strain, the exposure to the apple, and the incident with Lucy, Desmond fell into a coma. William Miles, Desmond's father and the leader of the Assassin Order, orders Rebecca to place Desmond into the Animus and shut down all of its non-essential functions, stabilizing his condition. Within the Animus, Desmond meets Subject 16, the bloody finger painter from Abstergo. 16 explains that Desmond needs to continue reliving his ancestors' memories until they have nothing left to show him, eventually reaching something called a sync nexus. Once Desmond had located it, the Animus would be able to separate his consciousness from Altair and Ezio, and he would be able to wake up. Left with few options, Desmond agrees and follows Ezio during his later years. Ezio, now motivated more by knowledge instead of revenge, goes on a personal quest to find out more about the Order. His journey brings him to Masyaf, which Ezio discovers is overrun by Templars. The Templars seek the keys needed to enter the library beneath Masyaf to gain access to the great power hidden within. Locked in a race against time with the Templars, Ezio journeys to Constantinople, where he finds not only the keys, but a love interest named Sophia. Ezio and Sophia make their way to the library with the keys needed to open it. Ezio discovers the decayed body of Altair, as well as his piece of Eden in the back of the library. Ezio then realizes his role in life, which is a conduit for Desmond. Ezio gives up his life as an assassin and addresses Desmond directly, creating a link back to reality. Reaching the Sync Nexus, Desmond encounters Jupiter, who informs Desmond where the location of the temple is that can prevent the second disaster. Desmond finally awakes from the Animus and states that he knows what they need to do. Desmond, William, Sean, and Rebecca soon arrive at the Grand Temple, where Desmond uses the Apple of Eden to unlock the entrance. However, on doing so, the temple activated the bleeding effect within Desmond, which showed him that a key was required to unlock its inner chambers. Due to the event causing Desmond's mind to enter a brief fugue state, he was placed back into the Animus. Upon reliving the memories of Haytham Kenway, an 18th century Templar who once had possession of the key, Desmond learned that ultimately, Haytham's illegitimate son Connor would come into possession of it. Desmond then began to search through his memories in order to find the artifact. Following Connor through the events of the American Revolution, Desmond learns that the assassin eventually buried the key to the Grand Temple's barrier outside of the Davenport Homestead Manor in Massachusetts. Desmond traveled there and retrieved it, before returning to the temple. Using the key to open the final gate, they proceeded into the temple's deepest chambers. Upon arriving in the central room, which contained a large orb set in a pedestal, the assassins were greeted by Juno, who stated that should Desmond touch the orb, the world would be saved. However, immediately following this, Minerva appeared, urging Desmond not to touch it. Minerva explains her past with Juno and what would happen if Desmond touched the orb. While the device would save the world from the impending solar flare, it would also kill Desmond and release Juno, allowing her to continue her quest to rule over the Earth. However, Juno tells Desmond what would happen if the solar flare was not stopped. While the majority of Earth's population would die, there would be a small amount of survivors. Desmond would become a symbol of love and hope for the new world, though following his death, his message would eventually be misinterpreted and corrupted by those who followed him, and lead to war, thus repeating the cycle of religious conflict through history. Desmond, seeing no hope in Minerva's plan, decides to activate the device with the hope that there would be a chance for humanity to fight off Juno. Upon touching the orb, Desmond sacrificed his life and fell to the ground, with Juno thanking him for releasing her. Desmond's body was eventually discovered by Abstergo several hours after his death, and an immediate autopsy was performed, with various DNA samples being extracted in the process. Upon completion of the autopsy, Desmond's body was removed, and his genetic memories were uploaded to the Abstergo cloud. Within a year, Desmond's memories were being exploited by Abstergo Entertainment, the multimedia branch of Abstergo Industries, for use in the Sample 17 project. Many of his ancestors' memories were subsequently explored by Abstergo Entertainment's researchers, including one of Edward Kenway, father of Hatham and grandfather of Connor. Abstergo Entertainment then hires a researcher to relive Edward's memories for use in their products. Reliving Edward's memories, the researcher finds out about a place called the Observatory, a first civilization site used to monitor people on Earth. Edward's search for the observatory leads him to the pirate Bartholomew Roberts. Roberts, as it turns out, is also someone referred to as a sage, which are human incarnations of Aita, a member of the first civilization and Juno's husband. Aita had volunteered in an attempt to save the world from a solar flare and to be a test subject of one of the solutions meant to prevent Earth's destruction, but died in the attempt. However, before her imprisonment in the Grand Temple, Juno managed to manipulate the human genetic code, implanting a hidden trigger that would randomly activate and alter the genetic makeup of the individual, changing their appearance and imbuing them with Aita's memories, effectively reviving him in a human form. After leaving Kenway for dead, Edward eventually kills Roberts and leaves the observatory in the assassin's hands. Back in Abstergo Entertainment, the researcher is eventually contacted by John Standish, the head of the IT department at Abstergo Entertainment. John is apparently working with Sean and Rebecca to get more intel on what Abstergo is up to. However, it turns out John has his own plans and is revealed to be yet another reincarnation of Aita and a member of the Instruments of the First Will. John injects the researcher with a poison in the hopes of weakening them enough to allow Juno to assume control of their body, but before John can finish his plan, he is killed by Abstergo's security. John's body was taken by Abstergo, and his death was covered up with him leaving Abstergo Entertainment. Abstergo subsequently discovered first civilization DNA in John's genetic makeup, and upon realization that he was one of the sages, kept his body in cryogenic suspension in a research facility in Paris. Subsequently, the Phoenix Project was created with the aim of locating other sages and using their DNA to sequence a complete precursor genome and use the genetic memories within to unlock secrets of the Pieces of Eden. However, in October 2014, an assassin team led by Gavin Banks destroyed the facility. The assassins, now knowing what the Templars are up to, hijack a set of memories from Abstergo Entertainment to prevent them from finding other sages. Bishop, another member of the Assassin Order, recruits a Helix user to relive the memories of Arnaud Dorian to find a sage that was operating during the time of the French Revolution. The Initiate's research determined that Arnaud had buried Francois Thomas Germain's remains in the catacombs beneath Paris, leaving Bishop pleased with the results. She informed the Initiate that Abstergo would determine the bones were too degraded for DNA extraction. She requested that the Initiate continue researching Arnaud's memories and gather information that could help the assassins. But in order to find out if that research did the assassins any good, we must return to the time of industry.